Did you big takeaways from the press conference? Not a whole lot of newsy stuff. It's just
No.
kind of plow through.
Not really. One of the things, I guess, if you want to try to find something, is the potential that Max Johnson could be the starting quarterback for a game, because on Saturday when I was watching the game, and this isn't any fault to TJ Finley. There's nothing really that TJ Finley has done to lose the job, but it's obvious you want to play both. You've played both in numerous back-to-back games now, and Max has come in a couple of very difficult situations. Against A&M, his first series, you're backed up in your own end zone. Okay, you come in this Alabama game, you're down, 4 or 5 touchdowns. If you're going to play Max, which again they've shown that they want to play Max, give him the same opportunity that you gave TJ Finley, and then you're able to kind of make a decision as to where the pecking order maybe should be heading into next season when Miles Brennan comes back. And so it did seem like they were leaning towards giving Max a start. Now, on the road in the swamp, COVID or no COVID years, that's a tough ask for your first start. But if you're going to play him, allow him to go out there, practice with the first team, get first team reps, get meaningful snaps in the game when it's still, in doubt, on the line, all those type of things.
Do you notice a discernible difference when the quarterback changes in what they're doing offensively?
Not really offensively. The one thing I do notice about the two quarterbacks, obviously TJ has the bigger arm, but the one thing TJ has is he has a spot. And we talked about this with Eric Alexander on LSU Game Day Live, and he said this. He said, look, when I know where the quarterback's spot is, it makes it easier to rush him, because TJ's always had the biggest arm on any football field he's ever been on, so he can stand tall in the pocket. He can throw off his back foot. He's so big that a lot of times he can take a hit while delivering the football and still complete the pass. And so he doesn't really move off that spot. Max in the pocket does have really good movement. He'll step up, he'll step out, he'll even step back and get the ball at least away instead of taking the sack. And so that's really the one difference. So TJ, bigger arm, but Max is better in the pocket.
Is that pocket presence that we talk about all the time, that internal clock, is that something that you think quarterbacks can get better at? Is it instinct? Because the look on your face tells me all I need to know. It's one of those. I was afraid you were going to say that it's either you got it or you don't. But with more experience,
I think it can get better, but it can't just drastically change. I think it's a true instinct. It's almost like a running back that runs the zone well. It's not something you can teach. He either knows exactly when to cut it backside, knows when to keep it front side, or he doesn't. I've said for a long time, you're either born with running back vision or you're not. That's just not something you're going to learn. It's kind of the same thing with pocket presence. And we've seen all the drills and everything these quarterback gurus have tried to do, and it can get better. But I don't think it's something that can just be a complete change. And so, you have to almost start to coach against it. What I say is, as far as having a spot, like you almost have to coach against, like, hey, here's where his spot's going to be. Here's what we have to protect. You got to make sure you're doing this. So it's definitely something that the coaches have noticed, and they know that. But because if Eric Alexander, who obviously played a long time in the NFL, but if he turns on the tape and he notices, every defensive coordinator in the SEC notices, okay, here's the spot. Here's where we got to rush to.
Do you like one of these quarterbacks better than the other? I mean, we've seen a decent amount now. I mean,
I don't think there is a gigantic difference either way. I truly don't. And I should point out that I think both of them actually played pretty decent on Saturday. They weren't given many opportunities to succeed because of the way the game was dictated by the Alabama offense, but there was things to like. I do think it's impressive that Max is able to come in those situations and handle it, backed up on the road in College Station, coming into this game when you're down by so many points. Again, that's kind of why you're pointing to, okay, let's see if he can get a start. Let's see if he gets a start and see what he does with that. Let's see if he raises his level of play or if it stays the same.
I'm kind of in the same boat you are. I don't know that either one of them has been put in the type of situation where you would go, okay, this is set up for you to succeed. They've been tasked at playing from behind an awful lot. They have been pressured horrifically. They have not really had the benefit of a consistent running game. They have had to adjust to different receivers and now had the top receiving threat on the team taken out. This is quarterback nightmare. I mean, this is not come in with nobody on and 2 outs and a 0-2 count on the batter. I mean, this is you're up against everything you don't want a quarterback to have to deal with as a young player. They've had to deal with no running game, tons of pressure, inconsistency at the receiver position with personnel, and you're playing from behind, and you're doing all of this with no real prep coming into the season.
Both of them have,
they had 3 spring practices, and then that's it, and then whatever you had in the fall, and they've been thrown into the deep end.
And both of them have some poise to them.
Yeah.
When you look at the situation, and look, we're not trying to pump sunshine. You just got your butt whipped, but we're talking about a situation when you've got 2 freshman quarterbacks that went out there, and neither one of them, at really any point in this season, outside of TJ at Auburn, seems like it's too big for them. I mean, they have stayed pretty cool, calm, and collected, considering they're running for their lives almost every time that they catch a snap. And with the fact that they don't really have a run game to speak of, because you're not allowed to have a running game when you're trying to catch up and play from behind, right? So all of those things stacked against them. You'd love to see what they did in a normal situation when it's 17-14 in the third quarter of a game, and you have everything in your tool belt.
That is the one argument, or the best argument, not the only argument, but the best argument to start Johnson this week. Let's see what he does with the score 0-0. And Florida does not have the most dynamic rush defense in the league. You can attempt to get the running game going a little bit, maybe even incorporate Johnson into that run game. He's got a little bit of that to him. If you want to run some zone read, I mean, is that the most out there theory? I mean, it seems like kind of what I would do at this point. I've seen Finley. I like some things that I've seen with him, things to work on. Let me see Johnson at the beginning of the game.
And again, that's not, because there's not really a difference in the two right now. There's not a giant gap between them. If you're going to play both, I think it's something where if you want to really see where they're at, you give them both an even playing field and you allow them to go out there and see what he can do, because I mean, you're right. I mean, Florida right now, and they're giving up 140 yards on the ground per game. So
they're the 5th best rush defense in the league,
but not a dominant one like we've seen. So if you feel like it's something that you can take advantage of, so I fully, with that answer, I expect I think Max to start with the answer that we got from Coach O, because in weeks past it's been more of we'll see how the practice plays out. Where this felt like, I can see that. I can see him being the guy there.
Did you think they played hard on Saturday?
Yeah.
I did too.
They're outmatched.
Yes.
I mean, let's call it like it is.
Well, but there are, at 35-14, they could have just said the hell with it.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't. They came out. They fought. They were just outgunned, man. I mean,
what was the biggest mismatch for you? Group personnel wise, maybe not individual. A position group, because for me it was Alabama's offensive line versus
that's the
obvious
rush of
LSU.
That's the obvious answer, but I could just as easily say, I guess, maybe Devontae Smith against anybody but Stingley.
Yeah,
that was probably the biggest. They could not cover him, but a lot of people haven't been able to cover him. So that offensive line kept Jones
completely clean.
Yeah, you never even got him uncomfortable.
No, I've not seen many games where the quarterback can pat it 3 times. I mean, he was literally, just back there.
There was
patting it, waiting.
Yeah, there were 8 and 9 second pockets. I mean, you don't get that in 7-on-7 drills. So, okay, they just wave the play off after 9 seconds. Okay, the rush would have got there. No sense in throwing.
And that's
the
the problem when you're not getting pressure with 4, but you have to have the other 7 in coverage because of what they are in the passing game. It's just not a good recipe. That's why getting pressure with 4 is just so critical when you're playing a team like Alabama that can throw the football. Like this week against Florida, the offensive line's not even in the same category as Alabama's. You've got to get pressure, sending really the minimum amount of numbers, because you want everybody else in coverage. We talked about it when we were at Sammy's. They don't have a great running game. Florida doesn't. In fact, it's almost non-existent, okay? So you're going to drop more guys into coverage, but you've got, if it's 3, if it's 4, whatever it is, you got to have some guys win individual matchups.
And I think the other thing that Orgeron is tasked with, and this I think will be probably the toughest thing, he's got to hold this together with both hands for 2 more weeks and then a bowl game. And this group absolutely, positively has to be tired. Not physically tired so much as just the mental strain of this season. I wonder where the breaking point is for them between all of the distractions and all of the restrictions and all of the things, and now you're losing bad. For him to just be able to keep them with even a small amount of focus. The students are gone. They're done for the year. They're done for the semester. The campus is a ghost town. The stadium's a ghost town. It's eat, sleep, football, and it's been that way for a while. And you just wonder at what point do they just go, man, I'm done. I want to opt out of the rest of the season just because I'm just not. I'm not in a mental place where I can give you everything I got. I think they're still playing hard. I give them credit for that. But in the next 2 weeks, just going to be, you get the very big feeling from I don't want to say the program because I don't think everybody feels like this, but you do get a feeling of, are we done yet? Is it over? Last year, you never want that season to end.
Which was like the longest season in LSU history because
it was 15 games, and it felt like it went by in 5 minutes. And this one, Cade, what did you say when I walked in here today? That this was the longest short season in history?
It's felt like the longest, shortest season that we've ever had.
These 10 games in, 12 weeks now, I think? Or 8 games in 10 weeks?
Sure.
Has felt like 3 seasons worth of just pushing molasses up a sandy hill, just really, really mentally exhausting is what it's felt like. Got to push through. Got a couple more games left.